The relationship didn't end when she walked away. It ended months earlier, in tiny moments you overlooked. You ignored the distance growing, the excuses multiplying. The way her touch felt different. A woman doesn't wake up one morning and decide to betray you. She drifts first. And that drift? That's your real warning signal. Neutrality kills more relationships than rage ever will. When she stops caring enough to argue, that's your crisis point. Today, we're dissecting the 10 behavioral shifts that signal emotional departure and the framework that prevents you from repeating this pattern with someone new. The end never arrives suddenly. It builds gradually through dismissed signals, ignored tension, unspoken resentment. Every relationship has a final conversation, but the real ending started long before anyone said goodbye. If you're ready to stop living in denial, hit that like button and subscribe to The Feminine Path, then drop a comment saying, "Awareness over ignorance." When you finally recognize what emotional abandonment actually looks like, you'll stop wondering about the departure and start understanding the timeline. Sign 1. Her vibe transforms. The initial change isn't her routine, device behavior, or appearance, it's something intangible, her atmosphere. You detect it before you can articulate it. Her smile seems forced. Replies grow brief. The tenderness that once dissolved friction now appears automated. An invisible boundary has formed, and you sense it in the gaps between sentences. This transformation isn't spontaneous. Women don't emotionally disconnect in hours. They gradually recalibrate. They reflect back the emotional frequency of their partner. When respect diminishes, bonds weaken, and she begins evolving into someone whose world no longer centers on you. During this stage, infidelity isn't her plan. Emotional separation is. Most men overlook this because they assess love through facts. They conclude, she hasn't left physically, therefore we're stable. But emotional investment differs from physical proximity. A woman can occupy the same room while mentally rehearsing her exit. Don't pursue her coldness or plead for engagement. That validates her belief that you've lost your foundation. Instead, maintain composure. Watch carefully. Reclaim your magnetic core. The instant you notice her frequency changing, refuse to match her retreat. Remain anchored in confidence. When you execute that shift, the dynamic transforms. You transition from being the man she's escaping to becoming the presence she suddenly can't dismiss. Sign 2, Digital Fortress. Her device was once unremarkable. Now it's guarded territory. She tilts screens sideways, types rapidly when you approach, grins at content she won't explain. You glimpse alerts, partial expressions, private amusement. Each time you inquire, she responds, "Nothing important." But it matters deeply. As a woman begins emotional detachment, she erects barriers where intimacy previously existed. The simplest barrier in modern life? Digital privacy. A locked phone becomes her refuge, a dimension where she exists beyond your awareness, expectations, or involvement. And if guilt or emptiness surfaces, concealment creates an illusion of autonomy. Many men conflate privacy with confidence. In truth, secrecy represents distance disguised as freedom. The more protective she becomes of her technology, the less she's revealing of herself. What she's safeguarding isn't her conversations. It's the alternative storyline she's constructing without your participation. Don't respond with allegations. Don't seize devices or demand evidence. That reaction reinforces the narrative that you're anxious, not perceptive. Instead, pull back. Observe patterns. A grounded man doesn't chase mysteries. He examines silence until clarity emerges. When she recognizes your composure doesn't crack under uncertainty, the advantage shifts. The barrier she constructed for protection starts highlighting what she's abandoning inside. Sign 3, perpetually occupied. Suddenly, availability vanishes. Extended work commitments, delayed departures, fresh responsibilities, personal space requirements. She's exhausted for conversation, depleted for meetings, overwhelmed for connection. The same woman who once flooded your inbox now treats every exchange like a burden. This isn't about actual workload. It's about emotional capacity. When a woman starts disconnecting, she fills the void between you with distractions, career demands, social circles, wellness routines, anything that helps her escape the quiet where reality waits. Being occupied becomes her protection. It allows her to pretend she's not pulling away. It lets her justify why she no longer prioritizes you. Most men counter by intensifying pursuit. More messages, more proposals, more demands for attention, attempting to recover what's dissolving. But that desperation validates her choice to withdraw. The harder you chase, the quicker she flees. Recognize this truth. Emotional retreat is practice for departure. She's exploring how existence feels without you present. And whenever you accept her too swamped without addressing the deeper pattern, you're silently endorsing your own replacement. Don't beg for calendar space. Cultivate your own. Reclaim your time, ambitions, direction. When she witnesses you advancing with purpose instead of panic, she'll understand the separation she created doesn't bring liberation. It brings irrelevance. Sign 4. Transformation without your input. She reinvents herself. Fashion choices, hairstyle, skincare regimen. Abruptly, she's hitting the gym, sharing mirror images, applying fragrance even for solo evenings. Initially, you feel encouraged. She radiates confidence, beauty, energy, yet something feels misaligned. Because while she's glowing brighter, her radiance isn't aimed toward you anymore. When a woman redesigns her external self, it's rarely accidental. Physical evolution frequently follows emotional separation. It's her preparation for a different identity, one that doesn't revolve around this partnership. That's why her transformation feels distinct this time. It's not shared growth. It's quiet preparation for departure. Most men interpret this as wellness. They assume she's simply caring for herself again. But authentic self-improvement includes your partner. It welcomes, not excludes. When she begins concealing her preparations, protecting her reflection, it's not about vanity, it's about liberation. Don't criticize or interrogate her changes. Observation holds power. Monitor what she stops sharing. Acknowledge her transformation, certainly, but notice where her focus lands. If her evolution excludes you, she's already redefining her emotional audience. Every woman shines before she departs. The transformation isn't betrayal, it's transition. The question becomes, will you recognize the warning signs while they're still visible? Sign 5. External references. She begins mentioning others, a colleague who's incredibly ambitious, a friend's partner who shows real appreciation, some random man who truly understands. Each reference seems innocent, but it pierces like a thorn. Subtle, painful, impossible to forget. When a woman starts comparing you to other men, those men aren't the focus. It's about emotional starvation. Comparison reveals projection. She's exposing what she desires but no longer finds. Admiration, passion, leadership. She's searching for qualities you once demonstrated but stopped displaying. Most men react with defensiveness. They debate, compete, or minimize it. Here's reality. The moment you start defending against her comparisons, you've entered the framework she designed. You're confirming her point by reacting rather than leading. What she's actually testing is your presence. She wants to experience the same magnetism she felt when you were unpredictable, driven, purposeful, not the version who settled into predictability, but the man she once pursued to keep pace with. Don't compete with phantom rivals. Transcend them, rise. Become so absorbed in your purpose that comparison becomes meaningless. Attraction flourishes where admiration exists, and admiration gravitates toward men who never stop developing. Sign 6. Cohabitation without connection. You still share space, still eat together, still communicate, but the quality has shifted. Discussions are transactional finances, chores, scheduling. You coexist rather than engage. There's no playfulness, no electricity, no friction, just patterns wrapped in quiet. She doesn't observe you the same way, and when she does, it's with the calm acceptance of someone who's already processed the ending. This represents the most hazardous phase because it masquerades as stability. Many men mistake it for balance, believing tranquility means success. But tranquility without attraction is emotional flatline. When romantic tension dies, desire follows and she begins craving stimulation elsewhere. The excitement of being noticed, contacted, wanted again. Women don't exit during turbulence. They exit during numbness. That's why this phase deceives so effectively. It doesn't resemble conflict. It resembles fading. You stop initiating. She stops responding. Both become phantoms occupying identical territory. Don't attempt repairs with superficial gestures. Flowers won't revive chemistry. What reignites attraction is vitality, teasing, unpredictability, tension. The version of you that challenged her, intrigued her, made her feel electrified. Resurrect that man. If you remain predictable, she'll continue sharing your bed while fantasizing about someone unexpected. And eventually, that fantasy will materialize. 7. Invisible in his eyes. Initially, she prepared herself for you. Now she stops attempting, not from lack of care, but from lack of recognition. Her affection becomes routine, her voice less animated. She no longer seeks your validation because at some point, she stopped believing she could earn it. Female desire doesn't disappear. It deteriorates when neglected. A woman's confidence feeds on being desired by the man she respects. When that attention vanishes, bitterness replaces it. She doesn't need praise. She needs proof that she still registers in your awareness. And without it, she starts imagining what feeling cherished by someone else would be like. Most men confuse commitment with attraction. They assume partnership replaces desire. It doesn't. Love requires maintenance. Attraction requires momentum. When you neglect one, both deteriorate. If she stopped feeling desired, it transcends physical intimacy. It's about mattering. She wants to feel chosen again. The woman she becomes when feeling wanted differs completely from the one feeling invisible. Don't wait until she's gone to acknowledge her. Tell her she's captivating when she least expects it. Look at her like the first encounter, because the moment a woman realizes she's no longer why you look twice, she'll wonder who will. 8. Manufactured disputes. She begins arguing about trivia that previously didn't register. Your inflection, your breathing patterns, the dishes, the toothpaste positioning, you discover yourself in daily conflicts that feel choreographed. Regardless of your response, she's predetermined you're mistaken. When a woman starts generating conflicts from nothing, she isn't pursuing resolution. She's pursuing justification for her own retreat. Conflict becomes her rationale. By amplifying your imperfections, she constructs a moral defense for her emotional departure. In her perception, if she can establish you're problematic, she can silence the guilt of her impending actions. Most men respond identically. They defend, debate, push back. But the instant you participate in emotional turbulence, you surrender control of the dynamic, you become reactive rather than centered, and that reaction validates her detachment further. Understand this principle. Her anger isn't the core issue. Her indifference is. Anger indicates she still invests enough to fight. But once her tone becomes measured, detached, and clinical, that's when she's already departed. When conflict becomes perpetual, stop matching her intensity. Match her silence with steadiness, not distance. Stay watchful. Stay stable. Because when she realizes she can't draw you into emotional chaos, her manipulation suffocates. In relationships, authority doesn't belong to the loudest participant, it belongs to the calmest. 9. Compensatory affection. She becomes tender again. Unexpectedly, she's gentle, attentive, warm. She praises you, prepares your preferred meals, sends soft messages mid-afternoon. Briefly, you believe things are improving, but reality differs. You're not witnessing restoration, you're witnessing guilt. When a woman crosses an ethical boundary internally, whether through emotional or physical temptation, her subconscious seeks equilibrium. Guilt doesn't always manifest as coldness. Sometimes it masquerades as warmth. She overcompensates with kindness to persuade both parties that nothing's wrong. It's not manipulation. It's denial. Most men interpret this phase as reconnection. They relax thinking, she's returning to me. But love that resurfaces suddenly and intensely following tension rarely originates from affection. It originates from fear. Fear of discovery, fear of her own transformation. Monitor the timing. Authentic affection develops gradually. Guilt arrives abruptly when her gestures appear without emotional foundation, following tension, distance, or unexplained silence. That's not romance. It's remorse wearing makeup. Don't confront immediately. Just observe. Genuine love maintains consistency. Guilt performs dramatically. Let her own behavioral pattern reveal itself. The more predictable her tender moments become, the more transparent the truth she's concealing. Clarity doesn't always emerge from words. It emerges from noticing when kindness feels like apology. 10. Instinctive knowing. You can't articulate it, but you sense it. Something's misaligned. The conversations sound acceptable, but the energy doesn't correspond. She claims she's fine, yet her eyes don't hold you like before. The silence between her statements feels denser than anything actually spoken. That sensation isn't paranoia. It's information. The body recognizes patterns the mind resists acknowledging. When emotional frequency shifts, your instincts detect it before analysis catches up. But most men dismiss it because they've been trained to reject intuition as insecurity. They gaslight themselves into silence, declaring, "I'm overthinking." Here's truth. Your instinct isn't deceiving you. It's protecting you. It's the final alert before emotional collision. The distinction between an insecure man and an intuitive one is response to that signal. Insecurity reacts. Intuition observes. When something feels wrong, don't accuse, don't investigate, and don't spiral. Simply step back and watch the alignment between her statements and her actions. People can fake affection, but they can't fake consistency. If your instinct is uncomfortable, trust it, but not to expose her. Trust it to center yourself. Awareness becomes your advantage. Desperation becomes your downfall. The moment you stop attempting to prove what you feel and simply stand in it, you become unshakable. Intuition doesn't demand evidence, it becomes evidence. The 6 principles that prevent betrayal. You can't control a woman's choices, but you can control the atmosphere that makes betrayal unnecessary. These 6 principles aren't about manipulation. They're about mastery. When you embody them, you don't guard her loyalty. She guards it herself. First, nourish her emotionally. Most men stop pursuing after winning her over, but women don't fall for statements. They fall for how you make them experience life. Attention isn't vulnerability. It's investment. Make her feel recognized, not managed. When she feels emotionally satisfied, temptation loses appeal. Second, maintain physical appeal. Attraction is vitality, not genetics. How you carry yourself, present yourself, and care for yourself reminds her she's with a man of standards. Desire is visual initially, emotional subsequently. Don't let comfort erode your edge. Third, lead with assurance, not authority. The more you trust yourself, the less you need to monitor her. Authority smells like fear. Assurance smells like freedom. A woman doesn't desire permission, she desires direction. Be the stability in her uncertainty, not the restriction. Fourth, preserve intimacy. Intimacy isn't exclusively physical. It's playfulness, flirtation, tension. It's the subtle glances that communicate, "You still captivate me." The moment you treat affection like obligation, she starts seeking spark elsewhere. Fifth, stay focused on your mission. A man with purpose is magnetic. When you pursue goals larger than the relationship, she respects you more. Respect sustains desire. Routine destroys it. Let your ambition remind her why she selected you initially. Sixth, communicate proactively. Distance expands in silence. Ask, listen, and speak before resentment establishes roots. Communication isn't about fixing. It's about comprehending. When she feels heard, she doesn't need escape to feel free. Master these 6 principles, and you stop reacting to her behavior. You start creating the environment she never wants to abandon. That's not control. That's leadership. Conclusion. A woman doesn't betray randomly. She detaches, disconnects, and then seeks replacement for what she's already lost. By the time the physical act occurs, the relationship has already expired in silence. The genuine betrayal begins long before the moment of action. It begins the instant her heart stops recognizing you as her foundation. The 10 signs you've just learned aren't warnings to fear, they're patterns to comprehend. Most men wait until they witness proof. The wise man reads energy. The stronger man adjusts before damage manifests, because once a woman starts fading, logic won't retrieve her. Leadership might. This isn't about catching her. It's about catching yourself. Every distance she creates reflects the energy she's responding to. When you stop leading with presence, she starts seeking polarity elsewhere. And if you can't maintain your frame when she drifts, she learns that you're replaceable. But when you comprehend the psychology beneath her behavior, everything transforms. You stop chasing her emotions and start mastering your own. You stop begging for loyalty and start commanding respect. You stop fearing loss and start radiating the kind of stability no woman wants to risk losing. The truth is, you can't prevent a woman from cheating, but you can become the man she would never dare betray. That's what genuine power feels like. Quiet, certain, and earned. If this opened your eyes, share it. Subscribe to The Feminine Path for more psychological breakdowns, because every man deserves to understand the dynamics before he experiences them. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and remember, awareness isn't paranoia, it's protection.